Hello, good morning and welcome to Königssee in Bavaria, the oldest artificial ice track on the planet. It's the final day of sliding in race 6 of the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup at one of the most scenic locations possible to imagine. We're getting ready for the action in the first heat. Martin Haven here, and alongside me John Morgan. And John, this track, old, tight and very busy.
Well, compared to the track last week in St. Moritz, which was 400 meters longer and about 15 seconds longer, this is like Talladega and NASCAR in St. Moritz, and this is like the short track in Martinsville. So, built in '69, great sliding tradition here. And the start, well, you know, as it is on every track, but especially here because it's only 1,300 plus meters into the first curve. You got to get on the left-hand wall. The right-hand wall, I see more pressure on the curve, and that could cause a skid on the way out. Now into the 4 S's. This is a Schallengruber, the snake pit. It's really like riding the roller coaster at Disney World. It's unbelievable. You feel, you know, in the back of the sled, you don't feel anything as a brakeman. And then now this long straightaway. It's not a straightaway, it's a bend around. Jenna curve, now into the turbodrome, the Kreisel, the really tight Kreisel. You have to exit into a real tight section of the labyrinth. Boy, it's tough for these four-man sleds in here. Going to see a lot of action in that Kelstein curve there. Now as we get into the finish, almost 80-mile-an-hour speeds. Ecovon, you think it's over? No, you have to go uphill. Another 150 meters uphill. I call it a graveyard of time, especially for four-man sleds. You can throw all away your good effort right in the last 100 meters.
Track record was set in February 2011, the last time the World Championships were here, and we'll be back in 3 weeks' time for the four-man bobsleigh World Championships. This year, Worlds will be held here in Königssee as well. Well, after a cold week, air temperature +2, ice hovering around -2, so it's going to be relatively warm and soft. There's Stephen Holcomb from the USA, bronze medal yesterday in the two-man. Oh yeah, joint silver, that's right, in the two-man race.
Johannes
Lochner. What a race we had. The two German sleds, Johannes Lochner and Francesco Friedrich, vying for the lead. Neither driver got in cleanly. In fact, neither actually almost made it into the sled at all. There's Oscar's Melbardis. Oscar's Melbardis with him as well. They were both in the top 6. Nico Walter on the left-hand side had a little bit of a disappointing day yesterday in two-man. But Francesco Friedrich was in the joint silver medal. Enrico Peter, well, he needs another good four-man result here. It's been quite a decent season for him in 2 and 4, but the last couple of weeks, it's drifted away a little. Quite windy this morning, and that will help keep the temperature down. We've got a big start list here again in this four-man competition with some 30-odd sleds, and that field will be cut to a maximum of 20 from 29 starters. So 9 sleds will join us trackside to watch the second and deciding heat as the fastest 20 go for it in heat 2. Both heats count, total time decides the winner, and it might be decided by as little as 100th of a second. Yesterday the win was by 2/10. But as John said, we did have a dead heat for silver. Race 6, the BMW IBSF four-man bobsleigh World Cup. Starting the action, the first of the 29 sleds in this first heat here in Königssee, Bavaria. Monaco's Rudy Rinaldi, who had a big day yesterday in the two-man.
He struggled in the first heat with the 19th best time, but in the second heat he posted the 6th best time. His best ever result in a single heat of bobsledding. And this is his only second World Cup in four-man competition. Did pretty good in St. Moritz last week, top 15 in his first World Cup ever race.
Monaco celebrating 30 years of their bobsled federation this year.
Oh, nice clean exit out of the S's. Ooh, now look at the way the heads snap in the four-man on the Jenna curve. The exit here, these four-mans don't fit through here as easy as the two-mans. That's pretty good.
That's a good-looking line through that labyrinth. You see a lot of runners airborne when they hit the walls there. 126 kilometers an hour, 78 miles an hour, and accelerating through the final corner, up the hill to the line.
Oh boy, this is a fast track. 48.65 is the record. He's only 1,300ths off.
Well, that's insane. That's the first of 29 sleds. The track will gradually slow down as these big four-man two-man sleds thunder down it, so going early is absolutely an advantage.
Nice lines out of the S's into the straightaway we call the bend around. A couple hits, not as drastic as the two-man. You won't see these four-mans and skids. If you do, it's lights out at the bottom for your time.
And you look at that shot and you wonder how anybody ever called it a straight. So Monaco, 48.78, a very interesting first run in this competition. Now, how much faster will we get? We broke the two-man record several times yesterday. Might go again here in the four-man. This is Jan Verber from the Czech Republic. Had a little bit of an off-form day yesterday in two-man. Didn't make it through into the second heat, but four-man should be much more his thing. Well, John, after taking a minute and 20-odd seconds to get down St. Moritz last week, they're down here in under 50.
Yeah, it's about 15, 18 seconds difference of concentration for the drivers. And believe me, this track, you better concentrate from the time you get in to the time you get out of the sled at the bottom.
Nice load, 487, so that's half a tenth faster than the Monegasques. That's why they're showing in the green, in the lead by 11 hundredths of a second now. And
he'll probably get that out to 15, 18 if he does the proper drive through the Disney World curves, as I call them. 11 to 11. That means he did not accelerate the way he should have, and he hit 3 times.
11 hundredths up. If he's 13 hundredths ahead of Monaco at the finish line, he will tie the track record. If he's 14 hundredths ahead, he will break the track record. This is our second sled. We're in danger of peaking too soon. This could be our first tie of the day. This is going to be right to the 100th. Here it is. Get ready. 100th of a second either way. Bang! There's the tie. Okay, here we go. Okay, now wait a minute. How many sleds have come down? Two. We've already got our first dead heat. We said last night after yesterday's race, we cannot have another race like that. We will not survive.
St. Moritz last week in the four-man, it took us 4 days to come down off that. But
dear, oh dear.
Come on. 2 sleds down, we got that. Well, the start was better than the Monegasque. Boy, I'm impressed with Rudy Rinaldi. He's only got 35 total trips ever in his life in a four-man, and he's being this competitive to Reba, who's outstarted him in a 10-year experienced driver. I'm pretty impressed with Rudy Rinaldi, but of course, Rinaldi's coached by Bruno Mergens, which he knows a few tools of the trade and tricks.
That doesn't hurt at all. A tie for the lead. 2 sleds down, 2 sleds tied. Are we going to go a 3 tie? Big day yesterday for Poland. As for Monaco, Maciej Lutti in the two-man had a really storming run. And I know that Agnieszka, their #1 fan, will be watching back home in Poland. So everything crossed for another big day for the Polish team.
Hey, got to get out of the start into the low 90s at least. 98. Well, start speed, keep track of that. Not bad speed, 3rd best start, 2nd best speed. 4 guys hopping in a sled, and a cohesive procedure is the ultimate goal of a 4-man bobsled start. A lot of times you can have the best start and not have the best velocity.
Skid onto this straight.
That's not good.
Okay, so he's 22 hundredths behind. He's not going to tie. So we can rest easy on that one. 115 kilometers now, 71.5.
The boy's losing more time back. That skid up in the straightaway, the bend around, really cost him. Here, straightaway, there's the graveyard down there. The shades are up still, even though it's, the sun's, I think they probably expect the sun to come out of that part of the track here in the next hour.
Yeah, it's a very sunny morning this morning. A beautiful, afternoon now. A beautiful afternoon of Bavaria. 3rd place.
He's going to struggle to make the cut.
Yeah,
54 seconds back. Those first 2 sleds out of the block, that was pretty impressive.
Well, and listen again, he had such a big day in the two-man yesterday. He'll still walk away with his tail up.
Here's it out of the S's, the snake pit, and he's got a skid going. It's tough to get these big sport utilities in a skid, but when they skid, they have a mind of their own, and you're seeing it right there. He can't control the sled there. Now into this little 70 meters that the Canadians call the doodles. Watch the back end. She squared it up there, and now look at the back end of a big four-man, 1,380 pounds, 75-mile-an-hour speeds into the Kelstein, and his race was already over before he got into the Kreisel.
3 down, 26 to go in the first of 2 heats here in Königssee, Bavaria. Next up Austria's Markus Treichel. Franz Esterhammer was on the two-man sled with him yesterday and is part of the four-man team as well.
This is the Austria 2 sled. You know, they're building. 800's back to start speed, so the fourth best start, but third best velocity. That's good. And mission accomplished there for the team. Down to the S's, and watch his rudder tips on the exit of the S's. A little late.
Yeah, but he didn't get into a drift.
No drift.
Nice run down the straightaway. He was 2400s behind.
116.1 is better speed than the sled that just came down in front of him by a full kilometer.
Half a mile an hour slower, but look, he's brought the gap down.
Oh, this is quick down here. This is the quickest anybody had in training all week long. They weren't this fast. Top speed's doing pretty good. This is not bad for this young Austrian who will be on his home track next week. You know, there's Manfred Mayer. His son's coming up later as Austria 1.
Shush! Got to talk about his wife and his daughter this week. Not allowed to talk about the boys.
Go ahead. He was on you about that.
Well, Raphael Meyer, who was sliding skeleton in World Cup, he's now retired. He's coaching. Sammy Meyer, the younger brother, is coming up. And Benny, as you said, will be driving the bobs.
Okay, this is the Echo Von exit into the straightaway that I call the graveyard of time, because you go over here and tap, you're going uphill. You tap up there, you can lose a full 15 hundredths of a second in the last 100 meters.
We still have a dead heat for first. And now the first of our Canadian sleds is tipped up onto the ice. Justin Cripps, a winner here on this track in two-man 3 or 4 years ago. Had a very disappointing day yesterday. Let's see if they can produce a little more in the four-man.
They've had a very disappointing 3 weeks. He's just been perplexed every time he gets out of the sled. He just shakes his head. And this is the guy who won on this track just 2 years ago in the two-man. So they should have the best start. They should match an 87 or better. Yeah, 90, I'm surprised at that. Wow, look at the velocity. Those are 3 big CFL athletes behind him who know how to jump in the sled, and big advantage for Cripps.
Last Canadian winner on this track, unsurprisingly, Pierre Luders. That was back in February 2007, 11 seasons now.
116.8, that's the best speed we've seen. Let's see the back of the sled here as it exits this Doodles.
700s away.
He's losing back.
Hang on a minute.
Losing back. Now in the red numbers, this is what has been happening to Cripps for the whole second half of the season. From January 1st on, watch the Canadian coaches here. They're just going to shake their heads. They got beat by Monaco and Czech Republic. This is a way better team. The Canadians just can't figure it out.
Yep.
There's no reason this guy with the start, experience, equipment, and he's got a resume in this track of it just can't figure it out. Look at the heads. Nice, that exit. This is out of the S's.
Speed just drifting away from Justin Cripps. He lies third. Rudy Rinaldi and Jan Verber are tied for the lead after the first 5 sleds. 6th of our 29 sleds in the first heat of the four-man World Cup here. Jan Verber leads with Rudy Rinaldi tied to the 100th. And this is Maxim Anjanov. Anjanov, the third of the Russian sleds in yesterday's two-man result.
Well, he just keeps buying time, but we have seen him, like all Russians, with good speed on the bottom part of the track. And there's start time, okay. Third best start, first best velocity. The Russians are well schooled and trained about getting in a four-man bobsled. You can see it every time you look out in the parking lot. They're doing their sequential start count, and Russians are very well schooled.
2 wins in recent years for Alexander Zubkov, 2012, 2013. He was in the medals in 2014, the pre-Olympic race as well.
The speed. Maybe you don't remember the track.
700s is the lead over Monaco and the Czech Republic.
Should be the leader here by about 800 or 900s.
Yes, we get a tie. We do not. 48-7-0.
Alexander likes that from his Russian 3 pilot.
Yep.
And I think that says that what we just saw there Next sled up, we should get ready for a track record.
Yep, only 500s off the record, and we're only 6 sleds in. So the ice is very fast, always well prepared here. It's been a very cold few weeks. The lake is frozen, and the track has been quick all week.
Look at that, he should be on the right side of our screen here. And he is a little flat, missed by a couple inches, which might push him over to the right here. Yeah, he didn't get out of there perfect. He came out a little bit too early. You don't want to see him flat in that replay. You want to see the sled up a little bit more in the outlet.
He was watching the replay himself to see what little mistakes the guys in the back row of the truck had found. Nico Walter, yesterday disappointed with the two-man performance. He said he needs colder ice for his FES sled and the FES runners to work. With Kevin Kuska behind him, Kevin Corona and Eric Franke.
He's been having some suspect start times, so he's going to need in the 80s here.
Talked to Marco Huberbecker last night, and he won't be part of the team after Eagles.
Ooh, look at the velocity, though.
Yeah.
They went from the fastest start to 4th, and the sled had a lot of pressure in the first curve. The start velocity clock, 100 meters, is right before the entry to that curve. But he's 1800s ahead, and he does not have a perfect exit of the S's. Speed 117, yeah, 116.2. Not the speed the Russians just had.
Half a mile an hour shy, and that means the gap is coming down.
Yeah, I still think he'll be the leader, but I don't know about track record.
Over the last couple of seasons, he has been Germany's leading 4-man driver.
This is track record if he maintains this spot. There it is.
Brand new track record for Nico Walter. How long will it last?
Well, that's a track record, but I don't know if he went under enough. He's driving a brand new FES sled, only 2 trips in it this week. He was testing against his other FES sled, and he told us some inside information that we won't repeat on here. Yeah. But it was nice to talk to him last night, and he's a frustrated German athlete. Comes from the luge, probably been down the track twice as many times in luge than he has in bobsled. And the S's, which I'm now referring to as a Disneyland ride, those 4 curves. Look at the runner tips. That wasn't perfect, and he's still playing with it.
Still a little bit of perplexed frustration on his face as well.
Okay, here we go now.
Alexander Kasyanov of Russia. He has been looking so relaxed and so comfortable and so confident the last few weeks. It's like it's a totally different mindset for Kasyanov.
If you were the leader of the World Cup, you might be relaxed too.
Well, he just got passed in the 2-man by his teammate Alexei Stulnev yesterday, and he still looks cool, calm, and collected.
Watch these 4 huge sprinters get in, get down. Watch how quickly they get in, get down. Look at the teamwork here. Look at that. Wow. That's their signature. He doesn't get the best starts, but look at the velocity. Yeah. Best speed by anybody. And, well, the World Cup leader here, he should be the track record holder at the bottom.
Austrian-built Valner sled will be quick at the bottom of the track as well. He's 800s behind Nico Walter.
The speed, 117 and change. There it is.
Yep, top speed so far, 72.8 miles an hour.
Back end of the sled, watch it here. How clean is this? Nice. 1200's back of his teammate though. Surprising. Whoa. 12 Walter, excuse me. But he's coming on.
To 10.
He'll get it to 4 or 5.
Top speed by a whisker.
9. Nope, didn't bring it back down that much. And Zubkov doesn't like it. Because he realized
outside the old track record.
The German 3 sled, the Russian #1 sled couldn't match. So Zubkov, that's why he looked a little frozen there in that coach's box.
And only 200s quicker than Andrianov, who's their 3rd-string driver.
So, but the choreography on ice, I talk about, watch these guys getting in, and the start from 0 to 30 meters, look at the difference. Walter had better...
Couple of feet dangling around there. They had better acceleration out of the block and got better first corner speed.
Then we just saw a hand come up there.
Yeah, that left-hand push bar hasn't snapped in on it.
Still hasn't come in. So look at the back end here. You know, 75 miles an hour, 1,300 pounds. How many G's is that?
Gee,
a lot.
Quite a lot. Is there no end? Yes, there is an end to the Russian sleds. This is the 3rd of 3 Russian sleds, and the random draw has just wrapped them up in sequence almost. Alexei Stulnev, yesterday the best of the Russians in the two-man, and he finished in the 4th place in the two-man race and overhauled his teammate as the best Russian in the points in two-man.
Well, a race within a race. This race here is to be who's going to be Russia 1 after this weekend. They got one more weekend into the World Championships, and there's a lot of bragging rights. 2nd best start, 4th velocity. Not like his teammate, who had the best velocity, even with 2nd best start. Ooh, there's a rough exit. Speed is good, considering the start deficiency. Now, if he gets 117.5, nope, 117 flat. All the Russian sleds within 1/10 of a kilometer of each other.
Yep.
A lot of repetition here amongst the Russians. 8, holding on. Looks like a skid, though. Bob Eckelvand.
This could put him into 2nd place
7.
ahead of Kazhinov. He will
Another
be
tie.
ahead of Kazhinov.
Another
He might
tie.
get close to Valter.
The
400s off the lead.
Boy, was he flying on the bottom yesterday, too. So he started 300s behind Valter at the top, had a half a mile an hour better speed, and he's put himself up top 6 or 7 minimum. He has been one of the most improved drivers in the top 10 this season.
Him and Keeper Manis.
Well, Keeper Manis is ridiculous, and that, you know, that 22-year-old phenom that is finally starting to learn how to win. But these lines here, watch the back end, smooth transition here. Watch the brakeman. Look at the back end come up on the right side, so he's a little late.
Yeah, Brakeman didn't get bounced out of the seat, though, so...
Good lines, though.
Yeah, nice smooth run, Alexei Stulnev. Now, for Austria, Benny Meyer, big result yesterday, big result in February last year. He took the silver medal behind Max Arndt.
Right. They should get down into the low 80s at the start. This is a very good, well-coached school team. There's 89, surprised at that. See what their velocity is, 2nd. That's pretty good. When you go from the 5th best start into the 2nd best velocity, that's mission accomplished for the team. The coaches will be happy with that. Skid, big one. Now, he's going to really struggle to get 117 speed here.
1,300 of a second back. He needs massive speed out to the Kreisel. 72.6 miles an hour, 2/10 down on the top speed.
Well, he stopped the bleeding considering that mistake on the exit of the S's.
A little bumpy though as he got out of
speed,
the
they're
doodles.
saying 4th best speed.
Yeah.
14, he's still hanging in there. He'll be 16 behind 17.
4th
14.
place, 5th place behind 3 Russians and Nico Valter.
The mistake on the exit of the S's sentenced him to the 5th position he's in. Without that mistake, he might have been up there in the top 2 or 3. And it's, you know, it's terribly
in the medals from there.
5 sleds.
Yeah, 5 sleds,
1400s. And it'll be like that all day.
7 sleds within 2/10 of the lead. So first 10 of our 29 sled entries down. Nico Valter leads for Germany. His 2 illustrious teammates yet to come. Alexei Stulnev 400s behind. Alexander Kazhinov lying in 3rd. Race 6 of the BMW IBSF 4-man bobsleigh World Cup. Königssee, Bavaria. Martin Haven and John Morgan trackside watching the action with you. Rico Peter just checking the guys are still there with him. He's the 11th of our starters. Last minute lineup change. Thomas Amrine, who was on the 2-man yesterday, replaced by Bror van der Zijde today. Alex Bauman's back, though. He's in at 2, Simon Friedrich at 3.
Started the season 2nd in Whistler, 1st in Lake Placid, 5th in Altenburg, disastrous 14 dealing with the weather, and then last week on his home track, 8th. So he's 2nd in World Cup points, but, you know, he's been sliding the wrong direction, peaking at the wrong time. You don't want to peak at the beginning of the season, you want to peak at the end. Well, 2nd best speed, 5th best start. Typical Swiss precision.
Silver medal in both 2 and 4-man in Whistler to start the season. Really entered into it with a bang.
Well, he's going to need that 117. Those are 2 good lines until it crushed the right wall. 117.3. Well, very good speed. Might be the best we've seen.
4th on the split time, 72.9 miles
Well,
an
you
hour.
saw those heads slapping. He was late into that Kelstein curve out of the labyrinths. Gonna have to pull some real magic down here to have any chance. None.
Sixth on top speed, so he's drifting away now. Seventh place, eighth behind Rudy Rinaldi and Jan Verber.
I will say this, like we saw yesterday in the two-man, the track speed on the bottom fell away after 10 sleds yesterday. My instincts telling me that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, especially with the two-man being lighter than the four-man by some big margin.
Well, look at the heads. Those are, you know, a little vibration there. That's the different pressure points. Watch the exit, though, if they show us. Now watch how the heads rock left to right. Looks like he's a little late there. Or look at the articulation of the sled split. Watch this. Now watch the heads really rock there. Look, see the guy on the right's a little bit out of position. The brakeman 2, 3, and 4 are all out of position. Now look at him swing back left. Of course, that's what hyper motion does. 500 frames a second. Slow motion used to be 150 meters.
Johannes Lochner for Germany. What can he produce in this four-man race today? He gets in cleanly, which is better than yesterday's two-man.
Wow, Nico Walter outstarted him. And, you know, second best velocity. And this is the Wallner sled that he's won the last 2 four-man races. He's won 2 two-man races. He's won 4 of the last 6 events on the IBSF Tour.
He's our four-man European champion as well this season.
117.4, best speed.
Johannes Lochner, this is home ice for him. This is where he learned to drive.
Yeah, his father's house is about 1.5 miles down the street here. Ooh, this is what we expect out of the guy who's won 4 of the last 6 races.
Record to take the lead away from teammate Nico Walter by 1400s.
Listen to the crowd. Now it's starting to sound a little bit like a football stadium down here. So much for the track not having any speed in the bottom.
Johannes Lochner, Matthias Kagerhuber, Joshua Blum und Christian Rasch. Meine Herren, ist dieser Bob schnell.
Well,
yeah, this Bob is schnell.
Yeah, watch the heads. Look, it's like he gets out of there. Ooh, their back end is up. We just don't see that with the naked eye.
You can't get through there clean, even if you're Johannes Lochner. He might be a magician.
Nobody gets there through.
Nobody gets through clean.
God wouldn't get there through that curve clean.
Well, so we got Lochner leading, Walter second for Germany, and next up is Francesco Friedrich, the double two-man world champion.
Well, this could be the 80, maybe a 79 start here. These guys should do it.
Bronze medal in 2 of the last 3 races.
Very surprised that they only got an 83.
Tell you what, Nico Walter's crew feel that they are in a corner, and that's when athletes tend to be at their most dangerous. Oh, big skid. But don't forget, he did that in the two-man race and still came out in the medals.
Speed 117.9. Wow, where did that come from with all that skidding?
73.3
miles an hour. See that
hour.
speed trap was right before the cries. Look, he lost all his speed from those mistakes.
So where is he going to be? He's 300ths off the lead, 1600ths off the lead. This isn't going to be a top 3 run. He'll be down to 5th or 6th at the line.
So the track tells you if you drive well, it'll reward you, like Lochner did. If you make some mistakes, I'm going to penalize you. That's the beauty of this short track. 1,300 meters, you got to have the whole package. Well, he's got the whole package. He's got the start, he's got the equipment. He just didn't have the drive down that time.
Like Nico Walter, he's from Altenburg in Saxony.
Martin Grothcup with the beard extending out below his chin. Watch this. Oh, look at that. He just came out too early. And look at the rudder tips. He's trying to get control, but he's still skidding. And now into the Ecovon. Boy, he got high in Ecovon, too. And does he stay straight here?
Yeah, but look, he's rubbing along the
A
wall.
little touch there on all the wrong. You want to be in the middle.
And that's going uphill in that shot, coming up to the camera.
Wow, surprised at that result.
Yeah, no more surprise than Francesco Friedrich, I'm guessing. Germany 1-2, Friedrich in 6th. Now, here's a man who pulled the fat out of the fire in the last couple of weeks. Bronze medal in the two-man a week ago in St. Moritz, tied silver in the two-man yesterday. And there's nowhere to hide in a two-man sled. Holcomb always says of his crew, I need these guys behind me to get the big start, to give me room to make a mistake.
Jimmy Reed on the sleds from Garmisch. Parents, military background, and he went to University of Maine. His parents are here.
Yeah, we just saw them on the way down to the booth. Carlo Valdez was on the two-man sled yesterday. Silver medal, I'm sure, beyond Holcomb's expectations. Can they get it? Look how neatly they get it.
For Holcomb, that's a pretty good start. Now, Holcomb won on this track in January 2014 in the Night Train 2 as they led into the Olympics. That sled's coming up a little bit later. So
only 100th off the leader at the start, only 800ths back at the moment.
Speed is going to need 117 change to have a challenging, no speed.
Talking to him yesterday about the difference between the two-man and the four-man BMW sled, he said this might as well be a Fiat or a Dodge or something. It's so utterly different from the two-man to drive.
Good lines. He's holding on. Fifth best speed.
Coming back at them. Top five, fourth place at the line, only 1900ths away. He is in contention for the medals.
You give him a top 6 start time like he just got, he'll compete with anybody. Yesterday in the two-man, he had the 19th best start in the first run.
And he is starting now to get his head around how this sled works. He said it's so different from anything he's ever driven.
Okay, look at this is that 100-meter section of the track, the labyrinth they call the doodles. Look at the guys riding in the sled. Boy, that looks pretty, no airborne runners. Well, he held his own without, didn't have the great speed into Kreisel. Look, this is what he did yesterday.
Yeah, high-fiving all the way down the crowd. And it's not just at the finish that the crowd is so close. You'll see in the runs that you can lean on the track wall here. Two Latvian sleds in the top 6 in yesterday's two-man race. Oskars Kibamanis was the better of them, with Jānis Janssens, and they're joined by Matis Miknis and Raivis Zirups. In fact, Janssens was behind Uga Zalems yesterday in the two-man.
This should be low 80s. This should be the best start of the competition with these 4 decathletes. 486, surprised at that. Let's watch the velocity. Third, surprised. Last week in St. Moritz, he had the best start.
Only 2 Latvian sleds in the four-man because Uga Zalems had to borrow a brakeman yesterday for the two-man. All the other guys are doing junior worlds.
1100s back. Well, he struggled yesterday with speeds, with the best starts. See what he's got here. 117.2 is decent speed. Better than Holcomb by half a kilometer an hour.
Just half a mile an hour away off the top
lost
speed.
a lot of time, and look at that violent left to right.
Down to 11th place on the split times. It all went away below the Kreisel. As he comes to the line, he'll be 13th, 14th, maybe 15th spot.
Wow.
And only 9th best speed in the Kreisel.
Jānis, Sanders Proust is looking on like what happened, but he's not comfortable on this track. Even though in St. Moritz last week he won the four-man gold, surprised himself.
Yep.
But St. Moritz is a little different. That's a big start time, big super speedway. Let the sled go. Here, this is a Martinsville. This is a tight, tough track that you got to steer and know when to steer. If they'll show us the back end of the sleds here, watch the violent left to right of the heads. Oh, you see that number 2 guy? He might be not riding in that sled comfortably for him to be that loose in there.
When you hit the wall like that, everything gets thrown around. 15 sleds down out of our 29 start draw. Germany 1-2, Russia 3, USA 4. Our only Canadian sled is Justin Cripps so far. He's in 12th place. Here's his teammate Chris Spring. Cam Stones, Lascelles Brown is back in action, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. And Neville Wright back from 2 years out of the sport this season, and seemingly even better than before.
So another team that's shuffling things up, so it's hard to create that chemistry when you got different guys on the sled each week. Look at that precision start, though. 49, anybody in the 80s is a good start. So they posted the 10th best start time, the 7th best velocity.
Four-man bronze in Lake Placid. Last week, 6th in St. Moritz, finding the mojo again. But he's down in 11th place, just ahead of teammate Justin Cripps, only just ahead on the splits.
115.2, that's the lowest speed we've seen of any sled in the race so far.
And it's the same story with Springer and Cripps, is that there aren't major driving errors, but the speed just falls off the sled.
It's perplexing, really. The Canadian athletes are becoming frustrated, and these are great athletes, good equipment.
Wow, 49.18, 15th place out of 16 sleds.
Going to be. They want to know what the start is. It gets a little skid here out of the S's. You can see him playing, checking up those runners. You flick them runners like that. It's an old Andre Lange trick that everybody copies now. Tries to get the sled under control. The difference in, look at the...
Yeah, a little longer line in the Kreisel,
so he had
more
0.8 of a
waves
meter
up and
longer.
down.
And, you know, you use longer lines, it's more time at the bottom.
Yep. That doesn't account for all of the time lost, that's for sure. Sled number 17 of 29. The race is filling up fast. Lamindine has Athens gold medalist in the 4x100, Mark Lewis Francis behind him, Andy Matthews and Tremaine Gilling on the team. The first of our two four-man sleds from Great Britain in the field. So the British Army Guardsmen driving this four-man.
Well, I've been saying it all along at the beginning of the season. I expect big things from the British. They've got some unbelievable athletes, but they haven't melded as a team yet. 493. Well, I put this team against any other team in the field for athleticism, and I don't understand why they only get the 14th best start. This is not November or December. This is on the eve of the World Championships here in 2 weeks.
Big hit as he came down out of S4. Straight down the bend away, but 2/10 behind. 14th start, 14th into the Kreisel.
16.2 is about where he is, 14th.
It's a mile an hour away from top speed. Still in 14th place. This will put him just ahead of Markus Treichel of Austria.
Touch there, graveyard, 11th speed, 14th.
14th at the top, 14th at the bottom.
I think he's safely in the field. I think Ludi and Spring are going to really watch the clocks because I think they're going to struggle to stay in the field. I don't know. There's not a lot of great sleds coming. There's enough sleds coming. Melbardis is coming. Juan is coming.
Little
Cody
early
Basque.
out of the S's. Look at this. Hits the wall, and that takes out some of that vital speed early in the run.
Yeah. And then here in the graveyard, you don't want to do this going uphill at 78 miles an hour. That's just like throwing a parachute out.
So Team GB in 14th place. Germany still 1-2 with Russia in third. Now the first of our Korean sleds. This is Yoon Jung-won, who lost the lead in the two-man World Cup yesterday with a 16th place free fall disaster. And Yoon Jung-won is not likely to have a much better day in the four-man, I don't think.
Watch the way they get in the sled. The Koreans are well schooled with this technique. Look at this, quick arms up, down, quick down, but it drifts a little bit. That's late. 13th best start, 6th best velocity, so that's pretty good. With that push bar, the guy reaching up, you're reaching up to that push bar going on the first curve. You're creating a vibration, you're creating a movement when you don't want to do it.
Are the Koreans starting to feel the pressure of the games coming?
That's the second worst skid we've seen there. Francisco Friedrich of Germany was the worst.
Down in 14th place, just ahead of Lamindine of Great Britain. 15th place now, ahead of Markus Treichel of Austria.
Early in the season in Lake Placid, he was a couple hundredths off the lead in the four-man. The first heat fell.
He might not make the second heat. He's 15th out of 18th. That is not a big buffer. You saw that little shake of the head from Eric Allard. He didn't exactly look exuberant with hope this morning, Eric Allard, their coach.
A lot of frustration in the Korean program. They had so many highs last year, and then, of course, they lost their coach, Malcolm Lloyd. And there's a little spiritual issue, I think, in the Korean team. It's coming out with their times at the bottom. This is not a clean drive. That's late off the Ecovond, and he's coming over to the right side of our screen. And
we're now nearly 365 days away from the games, and suddenly pressure is coming.
Our world champion.
Our world champion in four-man, Oskars Melbardis, starting to look like he's feeling quite healthy again, with Damas Driskin similarly, like his driver, coming off injury and surgery during the summer. Arvis Vilkast, Janis Strenger are the rest of the four-man crew. And while the Koreans seem to be taking a bit of a nosedive at the moment, the Latvians are coming back stronger.
Well, they used to have the best start. Nobody could touch him, but, you know, Melbardis had that back surgery. Damas Driskin was on the banquet circuit. They're just starting to get back into the field. Look at that big bump in the curve one. 8th best velocity off the 3rd best start. So that's something they're going to look at, because these guys are one of the best starting teams in the field.
Only one Latvian four-man medal on this track in the last decade. That was a couple of years ago.
117 and change, he's going to have a chance. 116, no speed. We've noticed that it's out of both Latvian sleds and yesterday. Not good speed on this track.
4th place, vying with Stephen Holcomb at the moment. A 10th adrift of the leader, Johannes Lochner.
13th best speed
1800.
and a skid. Big skid out of the straightaway going uphill.
Skids across the line as well.
77.6 miles an hour. He's a full mile-an-hour speed off the German sleds.
And a lot of mistakes in there, a lot of skids. I mean, skidding out of the final corner uphill to the line as well. That takes another few hundreds away.
Well, these are the 4 biggest men in the competition, and watch them get in this little tiny thing we call a bathtub. You know, you just think that they can do this naturally, but doesn't always go the perfect way in a 4-man bobsled. Watch the big bump here. See, I don't like that. See the way the head snapped and everything? There's another way to get into that curve without that type of pressure.
Start more to the left and don't hit it head on. 20th sled of 29 in the 4-man race here in Königssee, Bavaria. Loic Costerg of France will complete the field, but there are still 9 more sleds to come. So those at the bottom of the leaderboard will need to be worried.
Well, not as good in the 2-man as he is in the 4-man at the start. Very precise. Not bad, 496 for him. Let's see if 18th best start. Let's see 18th best velocity. Now he needs to be perfect down the track, or he's going to have some issues with making the top 20.
Anybody below 15th, Lamindine now might be worried. 18th place still, so he's ahead of Chris Spring of Canada.
3 hits, the norm, 117, no, 116.2, same speed as Lamindine.
1.1 miles an hour shy of top speed, hits on the way out to the prize
that
really
was
rough.
close. That was close to being our first mishap of the day.
That is a bumpy ride through the labyrinth.
He's hanging in there, look at his time.
Yeah, this
Hanging in
Bruno
there.
Michon sled is still quick, 14th. How did he do that with that trip through the labyrinth? Bruno Michon there in the black on the left, he knows the secrets.
Boy, he beat Kubermanis, even though Kubermanis beat him by 10/100ths at the start. You know, we've seen some good results out of him in the 4-man. Of course, look who his coach is. Well, he looks at the 14th place, they'll take it. They'll make the cut from that. Now watch this. Look at this. Articulation on the sled. That's too much pressure coming off that curve. Now he hits here again. Look at the sled splitting again. So now he's struggling to come across, and he's coming across late. Now watch. Look at the back end there.
Big hit there.
Now watch the back end again.
Now you've got 4 passengers in the sled
bubble.
right
I
there.
mean, that's... Whoa.
Yeah. Normally the driver's in control. When you get thrown from wall to wall in the labyrinth, you're not. Johannes Lochner, Nico Walter, 1-2 for Germany. Alexei Stulnev, Stephen Holcomb battling for medals, as is Kazyanov. And behind him, Melbardis and Andrianov. 21st of our 29 sleds, Nick Polonyato, like all the others lined up behind him to come, will have to bump somebody out of the race to make their own place in it.
Decent start time by the Canadians, but not a great velocity. Should we have a better velocity than that when you 14th to 17th. You always want to have better velocity than your start time ranking.
Poland's Maciej Luty is currently lying in 20th place. If Poloniato gets in, Luty will be out.
15-7, that's not going to help his effort here.
He's on 18th on the split times, and that puts him ahead of teammate Chris Spring. Now he's in 20th, only ahead of Maciej Luty. It's going to be the Poles or the Canadians that are in.
Ooh, in the graveyard, that doesn't help situation.
Still in 20th.
19th
He's
speed.
going to bump Maciej Luty.
No!
He does not bump Maciej Luty. 300ths out of the race.
Well, that mistake in the graveyard cost him his chance to get into the second heat, but didn't have good speed into the Chrysler. Former football player from Bishop's University. The Canadians are good. The whole team is football players, or that Derek Plug, a hockey player. And this, watch the sled flop. Watch the split. Sled shouldn't have that much pressure coming out. Look at that. Look at this skidding from right to left. It's a lot of challenge and stress on this, on the sled.
So Nick Poloniato just misses the cut. 8 more to come. Next up is Cody Basque for the USA with Chris Kinney, Adrian Adams and Sam Mitchener in the night train 2. Had a good strong run in the 2-man yesterday. Can he break into the field? He'll need to be 17th or 16th maybe to guarantee a second run.
Yeah, needs a good start. He had real problems last week at St. Moritz, posted the 28th best start and had the 28th best downtime in the 2-man.
Well, the
4-man was just as bad.
Much more like it. 14th at the start.
Well, this is the sled that won this World Cup here in January 2014, a couple weeks before the Olympics.
Another whole new livery on the sled this weekend. Big skids down the bend
same
away.
thing he did in the 2-man. That's going to really put a lot of pressure. Terrible speed, no chance here.
Only had half a dozen trips down the track in this sled. 15th position. He's still in the race, but he's hitting everything in sight.
Now that skid start, they're going to...
Can he carry the speed to the line? Is he in? He's in 20th place. He is still in the race ahead of Maciej Luty. Flops off the corner and 20th. He's in by the skin of his teeth. 700ths of a second. It was an ugly, uncomfortable ride for Cody Basque, but right now he is in.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's going to last. It's not going to be enough.
Well, he and Chris Spring are 20th and 19th. They are in the drop zone with 6 to come, including his own teammate.
Well, tough to get these 4-mans in a skid. This is the 3rd big skid we've seen, including for the German Friedrich. And this wasn't perfect down here. The back end of the sled's probably going to be airborne on one of these shots.
Yeah, he hits this wall hard. Look at the front runner. He's trying desperately to haul it away. Big hit. So Cody Basque of the USA in the race in 20th. Bumps Maciej Luty of Poland. And there is the sled. Will they get a chance to use it again? They're going to go back to the top and hope that they will. Teammate Justin Olsen will have something to say about that. Either Olsen or Basque will make the race, not both, unless they tie.
Well, this should be a pretty good start. Olsen, he's a rookie on tour. Uh-oh, push bar out. Push bar's out, boys. Somebody got to look up.
Well, they don't want to look up. They're trained not to look up. Brakemen look down between their knees at the floor.
See, it looks like it's come in now. Yeah.
Flip back in. Justin Olsen would have won a drift competition yesterday on the bend away, and he gets again pressure in all the wrong places. He comes off S4.
This sled won a bronze medal at the World Championships here in 2011. Holcomb was driving it, and there's the worst speed of the competition. But, you know, the dog is only as good as its master, and you got to learn how to drive, and Justin's, that's what he's doing. He's out here on the World Cup circuit learning how to drive, and, you know,
and Olsen was sitting right behind Holcomb in this sled in that bronze medal winning World Championship drive. Comes across the line 23rd, 49.72, half a second away from making a race. As you say, John, you can only learn one way in this sport, and that's by sliding ice. Simulators don't exist. You can't do summer training on dry land. You've got to do it in the races. Justin Olsen does not make the cut. Cody Basque remains in the race at the moment.
Flat, he's real flat there. Oh, not too bad, but you know, watch the rudder tips here. I mean, he's in a skid before he gets out of the curve. And, you know, you just got to take your medicine and try and let it go straight. You try and steer away from trouble, you're going to compound the problem, and that's what happened. But, you know, when you've only taken 40 trips in a four-man sled in your life, it takes a while to learn how to drive these big sport utilities.
Tulips from Amsterdam for Ivo de Bruin, Rudy Mensink, Igor Brink, and Dennis Fenker, the two-man brakeman on this Dutch sled. Coach Tom Delahunty at the top. He said during the summer he's mild-mannered Clark Kent. He turns into the raging Superman only for winter.
Little drift at the start. Well, 24th best start, 23rd best velocity. Ivo can drive, but when you're sentenced to the worst start of the field, and then you do that, it's pretty tough to overcome anything at the bottom.
Rocky in the S's, Rocky out of the S's, still in 24th position, so behind Justin Olsen of the USA.
Good lines there. He can drive. Needs start time. Got a Eurotech sled.
Norman's last night with a new designer who's going to do some work for Eurotech on next year's sled, who's got a legacy of designing Le Mans winning cars for Porsche, among others. So things might be changing up. Wim, very proud Dutchman, really wants to support this team. From where they are now, they need that support.
Well, there's a skid here. It's like a mirror what Justin Olsen did. Came out too early, the back end gets into a skid, but he let it go until down here. One hit, two hits, then another hit, three hits down there is the norm.
The big skid is what killed us the speed, though. Holding that steer late on the final S's is what causes the skid. Simone Penato next up, 25th of 29 sleds here in Königssee in Bavaria. And Penato struggling to make the cut at every race now. 13th, 16th in Altenburg and Winterberg, 26th in St. Moritz.
Well, we don't have a headshot for one of them, which means there's some new guy he's got in the team.
That's Giuseppe Giblisco on the back handles. Giovanni Molisano, whose brakeman, was a former skeleton athlete.
25th best start of 25 sleds. But this guy, the sled will come straight. You won't see too many skids out of this guy. Then he has a chance to get in that top 20 because he's one of the better drivers in the field. He's just in the twilight of his career, and they're straight as it can be straight.
Still 25th place, 0.6 of a second down out of the S's. He's got to be within 0.8 of the leader at the bottom of the track. He's already 86 back, 24th place.
But clean down here, he could catch Basque on the bottom, because Basque wasn't clean down here.
No, it was untidy. It's going to be all at the line or nothing, and he's not in.
Wow, surprised at that. But when you have the 25th best start time, it's tough to drive it up into the placing that you need. You know, this is the guy who's won World Cup medals and events in both 2 and the 4, but that was back before the 2010 games.
Missed the cut in 2 and 4-man in St. Moritz a week ago. Misses the cut in 2 and 4-man here in the rehearsal for the World Championships.
Well, the lines, this might be one of the best lines we've seen here in the last 10 sleds. Little back end on the left. Look at the sled climb. You just don't understand. TV doesn't do the sport justice. If you stand right there and watch those sleds come by and do that, you just can't believe they changed that direction that quickly.
4 sleds to come here in Königssee. Thomas Heibel for Norway. The Norwegians we saw first here in last season as they warmed up for the World Championships in Innsbruck, and they will be back here for the Worlds in a couple of weeks as well.
Heibel sounds a little German. It is. His father used to be a West German pilot here in the 70s and was good at it.
So the father is the manager, and two brothers, Thomas and Corbinian, are the driver and one of the brakemen. A very family affair.
Not bad.
They were telling us last year one of their brakemen there couldn't do more than a couple of races because he's an accountant and had used all his holiday up to come bobsledding. And that's the way it works in these tiny nations, is you bury yourself financially and in every other way to try and compete.
They have a standard that the Norwegian Olympic Committee has established for them that is just wow. I mean, come on, give the guys a little bit of a chance. They're expecting them to finish in the top 6, giving them no money.
Yeah.
So I don't know, the Norwegians are, you know, what they're doing here, but it's not.
Get out to be a world beater for free,
free,
or we don't want to know you.
You know, they try, they put all their effort in. The two-man sled they got is older than the Romanian sled, and they didn't compete yesterday, but they will in the Worlds, and they're hoping somebody steps up and lets them borrow a two-man. They got 8th at a World Europa Cup race with the BTC borrow two-man, and he says he knows he can do it with better equipment, but you know, when you get no funding from your Olympic Committee, it's tough to compete in this sport.
Yeah. It's the same story, trying to do everything with nothing.
Lines, pretty good. What's the back end? Nice.
Not bad
really?
at all,
Not
yeah.
bad at all. Look at the crowd, how close they're getting.
Yeah. So the Norwegians do not make the cut, nor do the Dutch, or Justin Olsen, or Simone Penato, Nick Polignato, or Matthias Luthi. What about Doran Grigori of Romania? Now, if he could make it into this field, that would be a massive scalp for him. He was 23rd in Altenburg, 27th in Winterberg, 30th in St. in the two-man. And in the four-man, he did make the cut in Altenburg, but didn't in Winterberg or St. Moritz.
2004 World Championships here, the Romanians got a little help from the Germans, finished 10th in the four-man competition, or maybe the two-man.
5:11 getaway, 25th position.
They're here at every event. We talked about working with limited funds. Pretty good lines. In fact, until I said that, I jinxed them.
Now, the Romanian girls are not sliding here this weekend. They went to the Junior Worlds. We've seen a couple of sliders from various disciplines. Oh, he's gone! And there is the danger in the S's. It looks so innocuous until that final berm just rolls the sled over.
The driver's got to get in. There's one more big spot that he could get hurt on. He tries to pull himself in. It's tough to do as a driver. Let's see if he gets around the finish curve. No, he's not going to get around the finish curve and finish with a time. Now the sled's going to come back. Now this is where it's dangerous. They didn't have anybody there to hook him, so now they got to go all the way back, a long ways. There's the big 6'9" doctor for the Germans. Just nobody was there to hook him. I'm surprised. Now the medical team, they know where the sled's going, but I'm surprised that there was nobody there to hook the sled.
Down to the low point in Echo, it'll roll a little further past that and then come back. Do not step into the track, sir. That is a lot of weight to try and stop without
everybody just has
spikes.
sympathy for this, and but I'm surprised that there wasn't somebody standing there with a hook too. You know, look at the size of the doctor. He's 6'9", 6'10".
Yeah.
Now you check. The first thing is that, you know, the athletes are a little distressed, and you don't want them to get up and start running around when, you know, they want them to just relax and
The adrenaline
check their
will
eyes.
be firing through their bodies. They'll be desperate to get up and get away from it.
This is going to cause 10-minute delay. Look at the gouges in the track on the right.
Two sleds still to come. The Romanians, down, out. They didn't complete the run, so even if they had been on target, they wouldn't get through into the second heat.
So we see two up and walking.
It's moving the sled really to get the driver, Doran Grigori, and I think it was Jonat Pershal who was at 2, according to our start list. So say 2 are out. And the fact that you get then disqualified adds insult to injury.
Well, it gets in too late. really late. Look at the airborne runner on the right. That's a no-no in the second part of the S. And then here, it just pushes him away. As it pushes him away, I mean, now there's no chance. The runners are not on the ice. And the Königssee curve, look how close the people are to the. And look at, I mean, look at that's at 78 miles an hour. Those are pictures we don't like to see.
Gets knocked away, and when he does, it basically robs him of any steering, so he can't steer the sled up onto the corner.
I mean, you get that close in NASCAR, you don't get this close. I mean, this is, the people are right on top. Look at that, the airborne section there, and then here, this, you know, you don't practice for crashing. You can't go down and say, let's crash and figure out how we're going to get in the sled. Your instinct takes over. The coaches tell you, stay in the body of the sled.
Grigori, I can see Doran Grigori is out as well. He's got his helmet off there, I think. Yeah, there he is. So it looks like
the sled's being turned over. So that means that all four of them will be up and walking around, which is a great sign. They'll take them in, concussion protocol.
Yeah. In fact, I think the man at 2 and the driver certainly took the weight of the impact.
Well, you know, I don't like it when the sleds come backwards like that, because, you know, the athletes figure that it's over, they're going to come to a stop, and then it goes backwards. We saw that in Altenburg a couple weeks ago, and listen how quiet the German crowd is.
It's like a car racing driver. You just hold in tight until the banging and the crashing stops.
Well, Martinsville, you just can't relax for a fraction of a second. And, you know, on this part of the track, this labyrinth into the Königssee curve.
And it's all the weight of the bodies that's been thrown up.
Look at that, 1,400 pounds is airborne going around that curve.
And the drive is trying to get the sled round, and all the mass of all the bodies is just throwing it at the wall. So it is hushed. There's our commentary positions. Right around us are the crowd. Below us, the finish area. There is the sled being taken up to the gate in the wall where they'll let them out. Doran Grigori there in the background. And his guys, they are up. But the ambulance is down there, and they will take them to make sure they are checked over thoroughly.
The best to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we will see them next week in Eagles in Innsbruck, and I'm sure we will see them back here for the World Championships as well. They always say you're not a real bobsledder until you've crashed. Well, nobody wants to have more than one, but occasionally these things are going to happen.
The sled looks fine.
Yeah, well, we're seeing the uphill side, aren't we? The downhill side is up to the wall there, but yeah, no, it doesn't look like any big breaks. And actually, they really don't need to be having
Look at the gouges in the track. Look at the gouges in the track. And I wonder if they'll spend 10, 15 more minutes trying to fix the track, or just let these next two sleds go.
Well, our second heat is due to start in 25 minutes, and we haven't finished the first heat. And it's likely that if either of our remaining two sleds make the field, they will be the very first or second to go.
Absolutely.
And so then there's suddenly no turnaround time.
Well, they will postpone.
Exactly.
There's a half-hour rule.
Yep.
And the next two sleds could easily break into the top 20.
Well, there the crowd hearing from our friends down at the finish area, the track announcers, that the crew are being given the thumbs up. See the Belgian girls there in the crowd, Anne van Nieuwenhuizen and a couple of other familiar. Elfa Williamson up on the right-hand side in the blue headband. Belgian girls always around and about. Nobody's actually left for Innsbruck because all the hotel rooms are still full of the luge athletes who've been competing there this weekend in the World Championships.
Didn't see the result, but the Austrian was leading at the end of the first run.
Wolfgang Kintel, he had a good run in the sprint as well. Maybe this is his turn to shine.
Okay, do a little mountain thing. Right.
There's some mountains. Yeah. Behind us here, the big monolith you see behind us as we pan up is called Grünstein. There's no corner named after that, because if you're looking at that on the track, you're going backwards. So that doesn't happen. And then as you get down into the Jena curve,
you come out of Jena, you're looking at the Jena curve.
You're making a right-hander out of Jena, and you're looking up at the big ski area on the Jena mountain. So there's Doran Grigori with the short hair, which would be euphemistic. And the rest of the guys, they're up, they're walking. And all right, they're beaten up and they'll be bruised, and it won't be easy getting off the mattress tomorrow morning because they will be sore and aching, but they are down in one piece and out of the sleds.
The way to describe coming to a bobsled loser skeleton event here in Berchtesgaden, Königssee, Germany, is like going to the Montreal Forum and watching hockey. These people know their sport.
2 to go, first heat of the four-man competition, race 6 of the BMW IBSF World Cup. Bradley Hall, Joel Fearon, Ben Simons and Gregory Kackett. Brad making his second World Cup start of the season. The first would have been in Whistler, but he had a crash and gouged his hand, slashed 4 tendons apart.
Look at his right hand too. He cannot grip. He has to push with his hand, with his palm of his hand.
And that makes it hard to get yourself into the sled as well. 491.
Pretty good start. Good start.
Great start from the guys now.
No reason he can't challenge the top 20 with that start at the bottom part of the track.
14th at the start, 13th out of the second speed trap. Needs a good exit here, and he gets a good exit
He's doing
here.
good. This is definitely going to he's going to qualify easy.
Okay, well, there's a lot of corners still to come. 12th place on the run down to the Kreisel. Big height in the second wave. Gets a neat exit. Still in 12th place.
Yeah.
Teammate Lamindine is 16th. This is Brad Hall's first World Cup four-man drive. 14th place. And he will be in the race at the expense of Cody Bascu, who is bumped. 14th place at the line, ahead of teammate Lamindine. Well, Bradley Hall, that 10-15 minute wait could so easily have jangled the nerves and played him a bad hand, but he kept his focus and his concentration, and he is in the race. It's always so tough for a driver to come off a long crash delay because it can prey on your mind.
Nice start time, though. You got to give him credit. His team really performed. He's only 7. He's probably 80% pushing in the front seat. So great time for Brad Hall. This guy's got some potential. Great athlete in the front seat. And Great Britain's going to like this guy for the next couple of years.
Yep. He's got a lot of rehab to do on that right hand. He can't even hold it in a fist. Final sled is Billy Meyerhans with Marcel Dobler, Jan Moulinier and Marvin Dixon behind him.
Marvin Dixon's quite a story.
Yep.
He finished with Winston Watt in Sochi. He was the brakeman for the Jamaican team.
Billy's got 2 or 3 sleds in the field that he's renting out to various different teams, like the Japanese girls are using one of his sleds.
The A-team.
Billy said, could you please say that my age is 25 plus?
Well,
so
look
Billy...
at the brakeman. The brakeman, you can see all of the brakemen, and the brakeman's the last guy you should see. So the aerodynamics here for this guy who could drive a four-man, but hit real hard there in the exit.
5:13, 26th place at the start. He's still in 26th of the 29 sleds. 72.4, not bad speed, but a mile an hour down on where he needs to be.
Watch out, watch out. Boy, was he late coming off the exit of the Kreisel, the Turbodrome.
He knew how to react to them and how fast he had to react to that. That might have scrubbed off speed. He's up to 24th, but it's not quite enough to make the race. 49.61 slide. So, Piers Meyerhans, Billy Meyerhans does not make the field. Finishes in the position suitable for his age, 24.
Look at this. This is...
Hops out.
It's not good to do that.
4 running in St. Moritz last week. And this is his first World Cup start of the season. Bit of a change of line there as he came onto the Kreisel. It was going a little high and he had to bail out of it. And here...
Boy, is he lucky he just didn't roll it right there. And somehow he recovers down here to look at the back end with the airborne back right runner. I think he got through there very luckily.
Yeah.
Billy.
There's Billy.
Billy, unlike you.
And I think he's going to be doing four-man for the rest of the season, so we will see him in Innsbruck next week. Our race leader, though, in a German 1-2 is yesterday's winner, Johannes Lochner. Nico Walter, 1400s behind him. Alexei Stulnev, 1800s off the gold. Stephen Holcomb, 1900s away. And as yesterday, 2600s covering the top 8 sleds. There will be changes. tied for 10th. We've got a tie for 14th. And Chris Spring, 20th place, just makes the race. There are the finishing orders. And frankly, anybody in the top 9 could be in the medals easily. Jan Verber in 10th, big first heat from him. Rudy Rinaldi in 11th from Monaco. Huge, beg your pardon, in 10th place tied. Huge run from him as well. And Chris Spring and Markus Treichel of Austria just squeeze into the field in 19th and 20th place. Bradley Hall, after that crash delay, tied in a 3-way tie with Loic Kosterg and Oskars Kibermanis. 3 tied for 14th spot. So Chris Spring makes it in, and outside of the 20 are the A9 sleds that will take no further part. Cody Bascu, Matthias Luthi, Nick Polignato, Billy Meyer, Hans Simone Batazzo, Justin Olsen, Ivo de Bruyne, Thomas Heibel and Dorin Grigore. So those guys will join the fans trackside, join John Morgan and me, Martin Haven, as well. Please do for the deciding heat of the 4-man competition. It will come up in just over half an hour from now at, what will that be, 2:40 local time. So that'll be 13:40 GMT. Wherever you are, thank you for joining us here in Königssee. We will bring you what promises to be a thrilling finale to the weekend with the 4-man medals up for grabs. Join us then. Until then, it's Auf Wiedersehen from Königssee.